So I was just browsing YouTube one day when I stumbled upon this. Apparently this Muslim channel released a video with a few questions he claims atheists cannot answer. Well then, good sir, I'll have a go at it.
What are the questions that no atheist will be able to answer? A. How did existence emerge out of no space and no time? How can an atheist assume that his atheism is valid when the moment of the start of existence is a stark proof on the creativity of the Creator and his ability to originate existence?
A few things here. So it seems we greatly disagree on whether or not the beginning of the universe's existence is proof of a creator. We can argue how the beginning happened, but what we don't tolerate is when you make claims based on absolutely nothing. There being a mind behind it all is a claim we would need substantial evidence for. Look, we don't know every detail on how the universe came into existence, but neither do you. Instead of sitting there claiming you know it all, how about you contribute to science like those astrophysicists are? I mean, these scientists are actually gathering the math and data trying to answer these questions.
B. How did no life transform into life? How did matter mutate from lifelessness into living cell?
Well, that is something we are still working on, but we have already mapped out the chemical processes that would allow important components of life to arise from non-life material. Of course, not everything is figured out yet, but we have never been closer to answering the question of life's origin. I've done quite a few videos talking about abiogenesis already, so I won't explain it here again. Essentially, you're asking these questions claiming atheists cannot answer them. But I hope you realize that we don't need to provide an alternative to your hypothesis to say that you're wrong. You're making a claim about the reality of the universe. Proposing a new idea that explains the universe and life is not a prerequisite to say that your claim of the existence of a creator is false.
With all our techniques and advancements, we cannot, till this very moment, originate the simplest form of life. So how can we explain the origination of life in the dead matter?
Well, guess what? We've already created a synthetic cell, fully equipped with a set of artificial DNA. It's not entirely from scratch since the researchers did use an empty bacteria shell to house the DNA, but the DNA itself is artificial. As you can see, we are closer and closer to creating a cell completely from scratch, because scientists are gaining a better understanding of the processes that drove abiogenesis, and also cell function in general. Just wait a few more years or decades and I'm sure a breakthrough will be accomplished. Now, creating a cell from scratch is very different than mapping out the processes of life's origin, but it's definitely a step in that direction.
C. How can the atheist argue against the annihilation of all mankind? What is the rational, substantial, and scientific evidence an atheist can present to prove that annihilation of all mankind is a mistake?
I don't understand. Annihilation of mankind? Did anyone claim such a thing? I mean, unless you're talking about the inevitable heat death of the universe, or any hypothetical step before that eliminates our species? I'm gonna need some clarification on that one.
The material world knows no right and wrong, so annihilation of mankind must be equal to keeping them alive from their perspective.
Okay, I understand now. You could have worded that a little bit better, but whatever. He's presenting a hypothetical situation of the annihilation of mankind, saying that because there's no morality standards given to us, we can't prove that it's a mistake or a bad thing, and that it must be equal in value compared to anything that keeps mankind alive. Now, morality is a huge topic when it comes to religion and atheism, one that I've covered multiple times before. In simple terms, no, there's no objective morality or any morality given to us. This is evident since different cultures have different values. The ethics we follow is based on two things from what I can think of. One, our evolutionary past, where populations that showed altruistic behavior thrived and passed on their genes better than populations that did not. The I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back mindset is a powerful determination and characteristic of mammalian survival in ancestral times, but it's not limited to just mammals. The second source of our morality comes from societal influences, which encompasses influence from other individuals. We came together as a group and determined what is right and what is wrong. In history, our morality has evolved in multiple spectrums. Someone who lived a few hundred years ago wouldn't even be able to agree with modern humans on some ethical issues we now deem to be common sense, such as not owning slaves. In addition, if a god did determine our morality, that would mean that his own sense of morality has changed over the years, and that doesn't seem like something an all-knowing god would do. So to answer your question, our own subjective morality would deem the destruction of mankind as a bad thing, not just because we don't wish death upon other humans, but also because of our evolutionary sense of survival.
D. Atheism assumes that human beings are just animals who came into existence after a long and slow sequence of evolution from meaner beings.
Meaner? Well, I definitely wouldn't say they were meaner. Surely you could think of a better word to describe this, like less civilized, perhaps.
So what if a higher being came into existence? Will it have the right to put us all in cages and use us as lab rats? The Darwinist answer that we derive from matter is yes.
Actually, Darwin's theory doesn't make a claim on that. The theory of evolution doesn't bring up morality or ethics at all. This is more of a conclusion you guys derived and then stuffed it in our mouths saying we said it. So no. Okay, in my personal opinion, if there did come to exist a species that was more intelligent and maybe had better bodies and whatnot, of course we wouldn't think it's okay for them to lock us up and use us as lab rats. We would probably fight or try to make truce or something along those lines, rather than just submit to their power. Of course, this brings up the topic of humans currently using animals for food and experimentation in laboratories, but that's a topic for another video. I personally do hate both of these practices, which is ironic since I work with mice. I guess it would depend on how much you value the benefits over the costs.
So, what's the purpose from protecting mankind or providing them with meaning or purpose when it comes to atheism?
Here's the thing, atheism doesn't make a claim on what purpose there is for anything. The only thing atheism says is that we reject the claim that a deity exists. Purpose derives from ourselves, as individuals and as societies. Protecting mankind falls under that umbrella of morals.
E. What if, according to evolution, we proved that one race is higher than the other? Will the higher race be entitled to transform the lesser race into used matter, as we do with the lesser insects or animals? Again, the Darwinist answer is yes.
No. Darwin doesn't make a claim on ethics or how we should behave. He proposed a mechanism of evolution, natural selection. That's it. If there's anything you can imply from Darwin's work, that would be that all animals and humans are equal, because in the eyes of evolution, nothing is higher in status than another. Species just adapt to best survive in their respective environments. That's it.
F. Atheists argue that morals are relative, meaning can be seen from more than one perspective. So honesty can be better than betrayal, or betrayal can be better in some cases. Yet, when confronted with their own trials, they claim outright that morality is objective, and that things like honesty or betrayal are absolute. Because if morals are relative, then immorality makes no sense, since we will never be able to set a line between morality and immorality.
I don't see a question here.
G. How did the amazing constants of physics emerge? All of these constants entail very intricate differences that must never vary, even by the slightest or minutest fraction, or the whole universe would collapse. For instance, the cosmological constant is fine-tuned to 120 decibel places, and if it was 1 decibel more or less, the whole universe would collapse.
Alright, do you see how you're just jumping from one premise immediately into the conclusion that your religion is right? Sure, there are constants that need to be precise, but there could be a number of explanations for that. For example, what if there's an infinite number of parallel universes? That would perfectly explain it. Or perhaps, what if there's another driving force, perhaps natural, that causes these constants to be this way? I mean, the number of possibilities are so high, and I'm sure some theoretical physicists would be able to provide a more sound explanation. But the fact that you jump from here to God did it is too ambitious. I mean, what even makes you certain that it's your God in particular? This argument just falls flat so fast if you just rub two brain cells together.
H. How did the genome emerge within the living cells? A code must require a coder, and this genome designates what each cell will be used for. Doesn't this prove that there is a unique maker dictating very specific codes?
No, it doesn't, and I could hardly imagine a creator creating a set of codes that is subject to so much damage, mutations, translocations, and various other errors. Why is non-destruction a thing? Why does God make it so an accident could happen and someone could have Down syndrome? What about cancer coming about through mutations? I mean, just putting aside the DNA itself and looking at all the other biochemical processes associated with DNA, we can see there are so many problems. I mean, sure, it's not a bad system, I guess, but wouldn't a creator make it perfect at least? Now, in terms of a naturalistic perspective, DNA isn't something that is very difficult to form. Like other essential life compounds, it is made of simple structures and molecules. It's important to realize that the structures we see today in modern organisms is very different than the molecular structures of the first living life forms. Religious people always fail to see this and compares the first life forms and their structures to modern ones. I mean, sure, scientists haven't mapped out everything yet, but that doesn't mean it didn't come about through natural methods. In addition, atheists don't even need to claim anything about how whatever first came to be. You could be an atheist and deny literally everything and still be titled an atheist.
I. Where did morality and values come from when it comes to atheism?
Evolution, fuck yeah. If there's a group of animals who didn't have any morals and didn't cooperate, they'd be sad because they'd all be dead. No children for you, savages. But if we had a population that did care for each other and helped each other out, boom, they live, have like 10 million children, who then have 10 million more. Isn't natural selection lovely?
To sum up our argumentation against atheism...
No, I came here to answer questions, not to listen to religious rambling. That's for when I'm drunk. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and follow me on Twitter please so I have more people to share my cringy memes with. See you next week. Peace.